All right, we are recording now. Welcome back to the RC with Adam podcast. Once again, we're coming back to you once again. I said that twice to fight the resistance that builds up, that we creators experience. You know what I'm talking about. The resistance to do that thing that you know you need to do, or that idea that you have that you need to act on, but then when you're right about to actually do it and execute the mission, you find yourself stalling or procrastinating and stuff like that. So you just press the button and you just do it. I've obviously been listening to too much Jocko Willink, Jocko podcast. You know how he does that. If you don't know about the Jocko podcast, you should definitely check it out, because he gets like super close to the microphone and stuff, and it's like always clipping out. It's hilarious. Anyway, hello, welcome back. I don't know which episode number this is, and it doesn't really matter. So just, hey, how's it going? Welcome back. So today we are going to talk about something. All right, don't you worry. I'm going to talk about something for this might be a shorter one, maybe half an hour or something like that. But while you're mowing the lawn, maybe you're doing some kind of task that you don't want to do, but you want somebody to hang out with you while you're doing it, you could do that. Think of it like this. Think of this like that. And or maybe you're driving, you're stuck in the car. Anyway, I guess I don't really need to convince you of reasons why you should listen to this if you're actually listening to this, but that just comes naturally to me now, because I have that built into me now of this sort of keep the audience. And I'm going to probably just keep saying that probably every time. In fact, maybe I'll just do every single podcast like it's my first podcast. And it probably will be for a while, because for a while, probably nobody's going to watch any of these. And then eventually there'll be one where everybody gets on board or something. And then it'll make sense that I'm saying, repeating myself. And that's an interesting thing, actually, that I find people repeat themselves a lot. But not in a bad way or in an annoying way, but it's interesting how if you have something important to share with people, you can just basically say the same thing again, to different groups of people or in different ways. And it's interesting because it kind of doesn't get old, or it's like there are so many people out there that are somehow just hearing whatever you're saying for the first time. And so you just keep saying it again and again, and then to me, it might seem like it's the same old stuff, but it could be somebody's first time listening to it. So I find that interesting, because I'm learning more about myself and what, how I work, how I see things. And to me, I really like working on new projects. I like doing new things. I like the novelty of it. And so I think saying the same thing over and over again doesn't really appeal to me, because I'm thinking that people are going to think of it how I think of it, which is I already said the same thing. You're beating a dead horse, man. It's dead. You don't need to beat it anymore. Is what I imagine somebody saying to me. I kind of forgot what I was going to say otherwise, but that's okay too. Something else. And by the way, a lot of these first podcasts, they're going to be kind of meta, a little bit meta. It's going to be me talking about doing a podcast thing, because that's kind of what's on my mind. And that's kind of the point of this podcast. Oh, that's a great idea. Actually, I should tell people what the point of the podcast is at the beginning of the podcast. Whoops. Okay. So, hey, welcome back to RC with Adam podcast. My name is Adam. This is a podcast. Well, I don't even really know, so I can't really tell you what it's about. But basically, YouTube channel, RC with Adam, do RC stuff, drone stuff, 3D printing stuff. And this is more of a long form, raw, experimental content type of thing. And also part of this is, and this would appeal to YouTube creators and video content creators and stuff like that, the point of this podcast is basically kind of a personal challenge for myself. And I've, for a long time, wanted to have a podcast and I want to, connect with people and kind of be able to talk more or longer, or have, kind of get in depth with things and not feel like I'm always like counting the seconds going by and being so worried that people are going to like click away, or they're going to go watch something else. And like, that's not what this is. So this is kind of just therapeutic for me, to practice being able to, I guess, I don't know, to be comfortable with pauses, to be comfortable with like thinking while the camera's going, and to kind of get myself away from that like go YouTube grind kind of mindset. So if you are in the same boat, welcome. We're kind of just going to hang out. And, I was thinking about this earlier before I sat down to do this. I was like, do I want to do like a topic? Would that be cool? A topic? Because we could talk about like, I guess any number of topics that maybe something that is, come up recently for me. So like one thing, for example, would be 3D modeling software, CAD software, CAD design, computer aided design software. Switching, I'm switching over to OnShape from Fusion 360. And so that's kind of an interesting topic, right? That could be a video, that could be a podcast topic. It definitely would not appeal to a lot of people. No, it wouldn't appeal to everybody, obviously. But so it would be like narrowed down to that specific thing. So from that perspective, that would make a lot more sense. Because, somebody they're looking at the podcast titles and they're like, oh, Fusion to whatever, switching CAD modeling software. But, I wonder, I don't know if people really look for podcasts for like answers to something like that. I don't know, but that's part of the point of exploring this whole podcast thing. I listen to podcasts, actually not that many podcasts, but I definitely have listened to podcasts for quite a long time, and I do get information from podcasts. But typically, if I'm going to search for like information on something, I'm going to go to a YouTube video, which I think is interesting. And this video will be on YouTube. You're probably watching this on YouTube, maybe somewhere else. So anyway, basically, I was trying to decide: do I want to do a topic? Specific topic and try to stick to that. And then I'm already kind of stressing out because I'm like, I don't know if am I going to have enough, enough to say about that topic and to like fill in the amount of time that I want the podcast to be or something like that. Cause again, that's the kind of that like YouTube stress mindset, kicking in there. But then I thought, so on the one hand, yes, topic is good. Because you kind of know what you're going to get. That is important. But then, other popular podcasts like the Joe Rogan podcast, or I guess kind of like talk show podcasts, you just have somebody on and you just talk about whatever. And you like get that person's perspective, which is interesting because then really you're watching it because you're interested in this person and like what they think about something. Or how that person is, or if it like that person's funny, or you're watching it because, because you're interested in that person, and then you want to hear what they're gonna say, and then of course it usually helps if you have like an interviewer or a guest or two people. So that's something that I've been thinking about, and I'm just gonna basically experiment with that. Yes, and then like I said, just doing the podcast really helps. I mean, it really it really helps to do the by doing the podcast. It really helps to do the podcast. Helps the podcast move forward when I do the podcast. Okay, so let's talk about an actual kind of topic with maybe some actual helpful information. So let's talk about switching from Fusion 360 software, CAD modeling software, to OnShape. And no, it's not just because of all the RC test flight videos where he's sponsored by OnShape. Or actually, I'm not sure if he's sponsored, but he does mention it a lot. He's probably sponsored. I would think so. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The point here is, unless OnShape wants to sponsor me, because that'd be kind of cool. But the point here is that, so Fusion 360. So if you are, let me see here. So, okay. So coming from Fusion 360. So I basically design things for 3D printing exclusively, just about. So, and I'm quite a novice at like CAD modeling and stuff. I can do some cool stuff, but I'm no like super duper whiz. I want to change that though. I want to be able to get a lot faster with it. And actually speed was a big reason why I'm going away from Fusion 360, because it seemed like it was just super duper slow on my computer. And I have a new, what is it? It's a Mac super duper deluxe extra something. It has like the M2 chip or the M15 chip or whatever. And so it should be powerful enough. And maybe there's just some technical thing that I could figure out and I need to figure that out. But so that lately, that's like been frustrating. So basically OnShape, the biggest differences, like I guess the biggest pros and cons, OnShape is exclusively online. And so you have to have internet connection to work on your project. I'm not sure if you even could, like if you were in the project file and then you lose internet connection, if you could do anything to that or if it would save anything. I don't know. But it's basically all internet based. So you have to have internet. And if you have a free account, all your designs are public. So anybody can, use your design, I guess. I haven't really tested that part out, but that's basically what it is. So if you want to design something that you don't want to share with everybody, then that is probably not a good option. Now, if you have the paid version, which is $1,500 a year, then you can have private stuff and you get extra features and whatnot. With Fusion 360, I've been using the free version, and so there is a free version. And then there's like other, like if you're a student, you can get it for free and stuff like that. But I've been using the free kind of trial version. And so that's been working just fine. The paid version, I believe for like one person, it is like $680 a year, I think. So OnShape is actually cost significantly more. With OnShape, you're supposed to be able to do like analyze the parts, do like what do they call that? Testing on the simulations. So simulate stresses or airflow and different things like that. Again, I have not gotten into that part of it yet. And I think you can do the same thing on Fusion 360, or maybe that has to be the paid one. I'm not sure. Again, I didn't really get into it. And with Fusion 360, I've kind of just been getting by, to be honest. I'm kind of just been winging it in terms of not really knowing what all the features are, not really knowing the right way to connect lines or to make exactly what I want. Like usually it's a struggle to make exactly what I want. And so that's what I want to learn now, is learn how to use OnShape so that I can make exactly what I want and know much more about it. The other thing is that my son is getting into 3D modeling, and because this past year he's gotten into 3D printing and creating some very basic stuff with Tinkercad. So Tinkercad is a great resource if you just are starting out with 3D printing, or you want to do a little bit of modeling, or you want to do some very basic STL file or 3D model modification. So like you get an STL file of a model from Thingiverse, you put that in Tinkercad, And also Thingiverse, that's kind of outdated. I mean, people still use Thingiverse, but I usually go to thangs.com or yegi.com. Those are two big 3D printable search engines, or 3D printing search engines for 3D printable models. So that's a good place to find the stuff. Anywho, so Tinkercad is great for doing really simple stuff. You put a model in there, you want to make like an extra hole, or you want to cut, chop something off or join something. That I've used it for that. But it's never really like ideal, and you don't have a lot of control over the shapes, and you can't do fillets and stuff like that. So it's just like very basic connecting shapes. So I wanted to have him step up to a 3D modeling program, and one that is like sketch based, parametric, that kind of thing, and then something that he can like grow with, something that is like even beyond him right now, but he can learn the basic stuff. And so I was looking at some different options. I looked at plasticity, and that seemed really cool, but then I realized you can't edit STL files when you import them. So that's useless to me, basically, because a lot of the point of this would be to modify STL files, whether they're my own or somebody else's. And then I went back and forth with like a bunch of different types of things and all that stuff. But basically I settled on OnShape. And a big reason why is because since it is online and you don't have to download it to the computer, that makes it a lot easier to use it on different devices. And that way, and also since we're and then I'm also switching over to that because I want us to learn on the same program. So then we can like collaborate on projects. And actually it's already coming in handy because he can design something on a laptop, and then I can just go to the OnShape website. Get my profile on OnShape on my desktop computer, and then I can download it. So it's very, very handy. And, I don't like the fact that it is only web-based, but really, like, that's really not, it probably would never be an issue. That's kind of the reality of it. Like, it probably would, there have been a couple times where I have, been using Fusion 360 on my laptop, like when I'm not driving, but, I'm riding in the car. But usually that's not a very good place to be doing that, because it's hard to concentrate and like actually work on the keyboard and do all the shortcuts and stuff. So I'm not too worried about that. And then, it is free. So there's that, which is pretty cool. And then the fact that the models are not private, or that they're public, anybody can get them. I don't like that, but then I'm also like, well, most of the things that I would make, I would probably share anyway. Like I'd probably upload them to my website or something like that. So that could be a problem if you need more like control over the model. But I don't know. It doesn't really worry me right now. I feel like the benefit outweighs that. So that way we can just get started and get going on that. And we have actually. So just yesterday, we sat down and watched some YouTube tutorial videos by, I want to say it's CADsessions. I think it's CADsessions or CAD Lessons on YouTube. And it's a really great, like, basic beginner tutorial, like from like the whole basic concept of like, this is sketch-based editing, and then you extrude something. And so it was explained really well, probably better than I could explain it, especially in like a technical sense, because I don't really know all the technical reasons of why things are how they are, or the technical names for the operations in the program, because I kind of just learned how to do it, and then I do it, and that's just, I kind of just do the same thing every time. So it's hard. I've never like been formally taught, I guess. So it's hard to formally teach someone else. I learned a lot of the Fusion 360 stuff from Maker's Muse. Shout out to Maker's Muse. never going to listen to this, but that's okay. So I learned a lot from his videos. And then, yeah, so there are a lot of tutorial videos. I definitely recommend that one. I think it was CAD Sessions on YouTube. I'm actually just going to go to YouTube right now and look this up to make sure that that is what I was thinking that it was. Yeah, probably if you search CAD OnShape beginner tutorials by CAD Sessions on YouTube, you'll find it. So so that was really cool, and I learned a lot too. Like it was really good just kind of starting from scratch. It was definitely, it's always weird when you go from one system to the other. There's like that, learning curve, and you're like, oh, this looks weird, or this feels different, or like I'm not used to that, or I always go over there. So, but that's why I'm trying to just start from zero. And then for me, it's great because everything is like familiar. So it's a lot easier to understand the concepts and all that stuff. But even so, we learned the basic concepts of like, extruding, making a sketch, doing these different operations. And so then he wanted to design it's like a Wiimote controller, or a steering wheel, like handle thing for the Wiimote, the Wii, the old Wii. Well, we still have the Wii. And so like for Mario Kart, there was like a little steering wheel that you would put the Wiimote into. And so he wanted to design that. And so he did. The first one wasn't really functional. It was pretty terrible. But then he, I kind of went in there and kind of helped him to, kind of see, hey, what about this part here? Why is this doing this? And it was all crazy. There were like a bunch of extrusions, a bunch of different extrusions, and nothing like connected and all this different stuff. So then he redesigned it, and it turned out much better. It was actually like functional. It wasn't super ideal, but it was actually functional. And so it was really cool because the main point of that is that he used this design software to create this part and make the sketch of it and then extrude it and like do that whole process instead of the Tinkercad, which is what he had been using. And Tinkercad, the difference is basically with Tinkercad, you're dragging and moving basic shapes and changing the size and kind of rotating them and stuff. But with Fusion 360 and OnShape, those types of programs, you're doing a sketch. So you basically have a plane in space, and then you like put a sketch on that plane, and then you draw your sketch, and then from there you have like a basic, like a 2D shape, and then you extrude it and turn it into a 3-dimensional shape, and you can adjust the length and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's the big difference, and he caught on really well. So I was really proud of him for that. It's so cool and like startling sometimes to see how quickly kids can learn new skills, and he is especially adept at like engineering and 3D modeling and 3D printing and that kind of stuff, and troubleshooting and stuff. So that was really cool. So basically, yeah, I guess that's in a nutshell. That's why I'm going to switch over to OnShape and start using that. I have an idea for my first basic model that I want to print. I need to make a I have this pile of shoes. Okay. I have a pile of shoes by the door, and most of them are my shoes. And, so there's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 pairs of shoes by the door all the time. And so they stick out from the wall, and that's annoying, and they get in the way. So what I would need to do to fix that problem is I need to 3D or design a 3D print so that I can mount basically so I can put the shoes on the wall. So I think what I'm going to do is just do a basic, like kind of like like 2 triangles kind of coming out from a base section that would get screwed into the wall. And then I'm thinking I might actually just add like a few little nubbins, a few little bumps or little points to the base of it, so that when so that when I screw it into the wall, I can just use one screw, and then the friction and everything will kind of just lock it in place so that it won't rotate. Because then I don't want to like a big thing where I have to use like 2 different screws, and then, you know, and then the shoes are sitting on there. And then what I want to do is actually have the arms of the thing, like the what do you call that? Yeah, I guess the arms that hold the shoes. I want to make it so I can rotate them and fold them flat against the wall. And then as a bonus, it would be really cool if they were like a certain shape. And actually, now that I'm saying that, I think I know what I need to do, because I think it'd look way cooler if it was just like triangles or something on the wall until you fold it out and then you put your shoes on there. So yeah, probably something like that. Maybe triangles, maybe. Or it could be like a circle on the wall, and then only, you know, half of the circle folds out. But I don't know, then that's like extra stuff there. So I'm not really sure. But anyway, that's probably too much information about that little thing, but that's what goes through my brain. So switching over to OnShape, that's I think that's going to be really great. I'm excited about it. And yeah, check out those tutorials from CADsessions if you're interested in that sort of thing. And the reason also why I want to encourage you to try, you know, some CAD modeling software, whether it's OnShape or whatever else, is because it can really like unlock your creativity and your imagination. And it's so cool when you can take something from your mind and then create a 3-dimensional object. And with this technology, it is so easy. Like it's so incredible. It's mind-boggling that you can just like right now, I could think something up, and then I could go into OnShape, draw a sketch, do all the stuff, and then you know, export that, put it in my slicer, send it over to my 3D printer, and have like the physical thing that I thought of in a matter of hours. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And it could even be like really detailed or really, you know, intricate, or it could have text, or it could be like custom, you know, some kind of custom thing that would be very difficult to make if you were, you know, making it out of wood or something like that. So that is really, really super duper cool. And then of course, you know, 3D printing goes right along with that. And that is, well, that's a big part of what makes that so, you know, possible, is to be able to have a 3D printer. And talking about 3D printers, which that just kind of always naturally leads in that direction. So I have a Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon, or Carbon X1. I think it's the X1 Carbon, and it's amazing. Now, Bamboo Lab actually sent this to me last year, and they just wanted like user feedback. And they were like, hey, can we, you know, send this thing to you and you use it and you give us feedback. And well, I don't think they really ever got back to me to like follow up. And so I'm going to like follow up with them and be like, hey, you sent me that thing. Like, do you need some feedback? And so I don't know if they're just collecting the feedback from like the little user interface there. I don't know. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. But the point there, the point of that was that now I have this really nice 3D printer, but it's not just that it's nice. I mean, the reason why it's nice is because it is so automated and it does such a good job. And this one is like in an enclosure, and well, it also has the Bamboo Lab AMS system, automatic material system, or something like that. So you can have 4 rolls of filament and it will switch between them as you desire, which is pretty cool. It takes forever if you have a like 4-color print or something, or if you're trying to do multiple colors per layer, that takes forever. So I rarely do that, but I love having the filament there. So my point here is, it's nowadays 3D printers are super convenient to use. Like, they really are. Now, that printer is not cheap. That, I think right now they're like, I want to say with the AMS system, somewhere around $1,000, maybe $1,200. I don't remember. But I know that the Bamboo Lab, they're small, they're like kind of entry level that they have. They have the A1 Mini and the A1. The A1, I think with the AMS system, you're looking at like closer to like $500. But that is like a full size bed, or the same size bed as the X1. It is not enclosed, and it's like a bed slinger style, so the bed actually moves, whereas the X1, the head just moves. So anyway, the point there is you get all the features, though, of like auto bed leveling. It'll check the filament flow, the calibration, so that you get, like, most of the time you're going to get a really good print and have a lot less like tinkering to do stuff. So that's one of those parts in the kind of in the system of being able to design and create things yourself, that it can be really important. But fortunately, unfortunately, it is much more accessible to people now. All right, so what is the next thing? Okay, I don't know. To be honest, I think we're gonna wrap it up now. Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up. It's kind of at the end of the day. I'm a little tired, to be honest with you, and I'm not. I don't have as much energy as I want to bring to your earbuds. So we're gonna wrap it up today. But thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad that we got to hang out together and just nerd out about CAD design and stuff like that. Be sure to take care of yourself. Make sure you're treating yourself good, and if you're a creative person, make sure you're creating, okay? Because that is bad if, like, you're a creative person and you're not creating and you're just doing, like, stupid stuff, like bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop, punching boxes and stuff that other people do. You probably know what I mean. But it can take a toll on you, so make sure you're doing something creative if you're a creative person, or you're making stuff if you're a maker, and get out there, fly something, build something, go help somebody with their project. Thanks for listening, and I will see you again very soon.